Earlier I thought of a title which is The Destiny is Demography. But then when I was moving from Chennai to Pondicherry and I was looking at a lot of primary data, and after listening to the Honorable Governor's speech and also listening to Anand here, what I conclude and what I will try to prove you through primary data insights, that our democracy's destiny is demography. So all the ideals of the Indian Constitution that we speak about, the economic development that we speak about, all of this only and only hinges on one factor. And this what I conclude over the last 8 years of traveling across the length and the breadth of the country, seeing absolutely skewed voting patterns. And I want to make you aware of an evolving danger which you do not see now, but would definitely see in the next 2 decades to come. And this is why I conclude that if India continues to be a democracy, a thriving democracy, and if we intend to be a developed country and continue to grow at 8 to 10%, what will definitely matter is how does the demography in this country shape. So if you look, where are we right now in India? The Hindu population growth rate, and I will towards the end tell you why am I mentioning a lot about population growth rate, because there is huge skewed patterns in terms of economic development in these two areas where the demography is tilted. Number two, also there is a veto power on the voting right, which I have seen, and this is what data tells you. And there is absolutely differentiated economic outlook of these two areas. So right now in this country, if you see that the Hindu population growth rate is roughly around 16.5 to 17%. And the non-Hindu population growth rate roughly 24 to 25%. Now why do I mention this? I mention this because at this moment in this country, there are many more districts where the population of the non-Hindu minority, in particular the Muslim minority, is growing at a faster rate than the Hindu majority. Now what does that do to your population? What does that do to your outcome? I will prove this in the slides later on, that places where the demography is 30% tilted. What do I refer by 30% tilted? Which means that areas where the Muslim minority population is 30%, data suggests, after studying successive 5 elections, whether at the state level or the voting outcome at the national level, that there is a virtual veto, which means that the fate of the 100% electorate which votes is decided by the 30% electorate which consolidates. And this is why I am not talking about a demography skewing in a manner where it has skewed in areas of Bengal, which I will come to, where it has skewed to a level where Hindu minorities have become areas of border areas of Bengal. But I am talking about more than 100 Lok Sabha constituencies in this country possibly becoming a scenario in the next 2 decades where the Muslim minority population can touch a 30%. Now, why is that a point which we should talk about? And this is where I come to my second part. If you look at certain 2 districts in this country, and this is a case study which I will bring to you. These are 2 districts. One is in Assam. This is a Lok Sabha constituency also. And one is in Bengal. Now, in 1950s, you would have seen that the Hindu population in these 2 districts was more than the Muslim population. However, now what do you see? That in Dhubri, the Hindu population is the minority population, where it is around 20-25%. And in Murshidabad, it is around 30-35%. Now, I don't have an issue with a demography changing till the time it does not impact my outcomes. Now, how does it impact my outcome? In the last 50 years, in these 2 Lok Sabha constituencies, only a Muslim candidate has won. So if I talk about the tenet of secularism, which is about protecting the minorities also, in these 2 districts, the earlier minorities have become the majorities and the Hindu majority has become the minority, and the Hindu minority not even once in the last 50 years has been able to become a member of parliament or an MLA. So it's a virtual veto, and the voting has only happened not on many economic criteria, not only development criteria, it has only and only happened on religious criteria. This is nothing to do with geography. I spoke about 2 districts in the eastern part. Now let me tell you another district which is in the southern part. And look at the interesting part. I will tell you about Kerala later. Malappuram, for instance, and this is very, very important, comes right there in the southern part. Kerala is considered to be a highly literate state. But does a highly literate non-Hindu population vote based on development economic parameter in the place or a district where the literacy is high but demography is skewed? So this Malappuram is a very interesting case. It is different from Murshidabad. It is different from, for instance, parts of Bihar. Here the literacy is high, but along with literacy being high, the demography is skewed. And this is a very, very important point. Here also you see that since 1952, only a Muslim candidate has won. What does it establish as a trend? It establishes as a very important challenge that even though your literacy levels are very, very high, it will have no bearing, direct or indirect impact on your voting outcomes. So again, we tend to think that higher the literacy, more will be the developmental parameters in your polity. That is not true based on primary data and places where your demography is skewed. So imagine Malappuram, despite being literacy level all-time high, in fact more than national average in many places, still only vote based on religiosity. Now if you look at the 4 districts I will tell you in particular, which is Kishanganj, Murshidabad, to an extent this comes in parts of Simanchal, Nadia, Malda, West Dinajpur. These are all areas which surround Bengal and Bihar. Now in these areas, all of them have a unique trend. All of them in the last 2.5 decades have become Hindu minority areas. All of them are adjacent to each other with hundreds of kilometers of distance. This roughly combines a population of 2.8 crore Muslim population. This is a majority Muslim population of 2.8 crores. Now the question which has to be asked, that as this population has increased in these areas, you have evidences and facts of illegal immigration increasing. You have evidences and facts of homemade bomb-making factories being found by a lot of security agencies. And you have evidences and facts which prove that despite any government welfare, these areas have become isolated silos. Lot of analysts think and foresee a danger that many of these districts are in the border areas. And many border areas are seeing a phenomena where the primary district or the village might be a Hindu majority village, but it is surrounded by Hindu minority areas. And in that scenario, what is very, very important, that imagine a scenario of a circle with a nucleus being Hindu majority. It is surrounded by Hindu minority areas. The issue is that the singular Hindu majority areas in these districts I'm talking about tends to become a Hindu minority area. So all these districts earlier, what was the phenomena which was followed in your border districts? Everything was not a skewed demography. Your Hindu majority area was in the center. It was surrounded by areas, villages which were Hindu minority. What happened was these Hindu minorities areas socially and politically impacted the Hindu majority central area. And because of this, the Hindus started to move away and the entire area became Hindu minority. And the worry is 20% of them are in the surrounding border districts, which also today or tomorrow can pose national security challenge.
Thank you so much for your presentation. I'm from Iran.
Yes.
This presentation, it's really extremely important, and kindly requested to all the people is here, please be careful of your culture. That's it.